The weather outside is far from frightful, but you know what? Beginning of next week, we'll be walking in a winter wonderland. We talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. I guess more accurately, we'll be walking in a Winter Meetings wonderland as they come to Dallas, and so do the eyes of the baseball world next week. Look at the wry smile on Chris Young, who seems to have that smile that says, I know something that you don't. Very interesting as we welcome you to the DLLS Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan Rads here with Abby Jones. That's Abs and J-Dub, Jeff Wilson down there. We've got the Prophet over here making all this stuff happen, and we've got you. Make sure you like us, subscribe to us, hang out with us, and don't forget to chat with us as well. Winter meetings are next Sunday through next Wednesday. And yes, the Anatole Hotel, where they will be staged, will be decorated to look like a winter wonderland. There's going to be, all kinds of decorations around there. Jeff, they've been there twice before. One of them, huge news for Dallas and for the area and for the Rangers when Alex Rodriguez signed.
T.R. Sullivan shocked the world with the report that Alex Rodriguez would be signing for 10 years and $252 million. He tells a pretty good story about it. We'll have to have him on the show. He'd be a good guest, but he talks about it was the middle of an ice storm. He had to pull over and all this stuff back before cell phones and all of that stuff. And TR is still not a big cell phone guy, but anyway. And then 2011, big personally for me because my wife told me that she was pregnant with Henry, our first kid.
Oh wow!
But also it was a really big one for the Rangers because, as you'll recall, C.J. Wilson signed with the Angels, Albert Pujols signed with the Rangers. And the Rangers were, like, oh God, what's going on here? This 1 year's over, or I guess it was 2 years over. But then 10 days later, they won the rights to negotiate with Yu Darvish. So it seems like they had a plan.
Yep, it all worked out well, and that is sort of what it looked like in Chris Young's wry smile there. Abs, he when I went back today just to look at something I hadn't really looked much at since whatever day was that free agency started, November 1st, whatever day it was that was right after the last game of the World Series. And at the top of the list of catchers available for free agency was Kyle Higashioka, right? I mean, he is the number one choice among catchers. And on that same day that I was looking at that list for the first time,
so were the
CY was calling him, right? Or his agent and saying, we want you. And so somehow it just feels like, again, he knows, he's got that look on his face. He knows what he wants, and the Rangers have proven they know how to get it.
It does kind of feel like Christmas because you're waiting on these big deals to be signed. And, we just had the anniversary of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, and then we had the anniversary of Jacob deGrom. Those weren't that long ago. It's not like the Rangers have never spent money before. Interested to see, what's going to happen. Do they sign Nathan Eovaldi before the winter meetings start? You sure hope so, but maybe don't hold your breath. But the signing of Kyle is a big addition. We talked about what it's going to add to this roster as far as depth-wise at the catcher position, but also in the lineup as well. So, some things are being checked off your Christmas list if you're a Rangers fan.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now, and Jeff, we talked earlier in the week about the possibility of running through different aspects of the team, and then our week got busy. We had Kyle Higashioka on the
Yeah.
show Tuesday. We had Jared Sandler on the show yesterday. But let's talk about the relief corps, right? Because when you look at basically, if you could look down at the bullpen right now, if we could, staff the bullpen with everybody who's among the Rangers pitchers that's available in the bullpen right now, there's nobody out there. I mean, basically, who do they have? They've got so many free agents there.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Jose Urania much during this offseason.
Yeah.
Another name we have to talk about. So anyway, bullpen, I think, is a huge priority.
I 100% agree. I think if the season were to start today, let's say the hypothetical, the season started today, I think John Gray would be the closer. I don't know that for sure, but I just think that if the Rangers had to say, all right, who's our best guy who we can trust, who we think can handle the situations, they would say it's got to be John Gray. Otherwise, who are you talking about? Okay, well, Spores is going to be on the injured list.
I was going to say, are you going to stick with that if he's healthy?
He's not going to be healthy until
July,
June.
Yeah.
So he's out. So who are you gonna pick? Walt Pennington? I like Walt a lot, but he doesn't throw hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
No.
All right, and he's too young. Cole Winn? No. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of guys here that I shouldn't be forgetting. But the point is, who in there just reaches out and says, "Hey, I'm the next closer." Emiliano Teodoro would be interesting. He's never pitched above Double-A, but he throws 100 and has a really good slider.
And he's always been a starter, right?
Always been a starter. He did pitch as a reliever in the Arizona Fall League 2 years ago when he was like their pitcher of the year. He didn't allow an earned run in like 18 innings. So it plays up. The stuff plays up. So, that's an interesting guy to think about maybe at midseason. If the bullpen is languishing and they need an arm, he's on the 40-man now, boom. It'd be like a Neftali Feliz type of shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Jack Leiter. What do I say? Jack Leiter,
Yeah.
Hey, his stuff plays up in short spurts. Let's see what that looks like. There are just a lot of ways they could go here, but I think to your point with Yates, not on the roster, Daniel Robertson not on the roster, Spores hurt. You're kind of
Limited.
You're like, well, all right, but then with the rotation, you can go DeGrom, Rocker, Cody Bradford, Tyler Malley, and
Dunning or Gray,
DeGrom.
but you're going to put
Dunning.
Gray in the bullpen.
Dunning,
So
let's say Dunning. So
yeah,
you can get you 5 starters with what you have right now.
yes.
So, but
it's not
fortunately, there's time to work on that.
right, and that's not a rotation that you just named that you'd say that's going back to the World Series.
No, but it's
Right.
not the worst rotation.
No, but I mean, it seems like you've got DeGrom and a bunch of 3 at best 4 rotation guys, right?
Yeah, it's good, but not great.
But
Yeah.
how many innings are you going to get out of Rocker? We've been talking about how many innings are you getting out of DeGrom? Not a lot. So
Yeah.
it's
It's daunting.
And Dunning is coming off some shoulder fatigue. Yeah, they obviously have to really focus on that bullpen.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, we know that they want,
Mark Church. I forgot about Mark
Yeah,
Church.
Mark.
Oh,
Church.
Mark Church.
Mark Church
Yeah,
could
that's
be a
Mark
right.
good
Church,
candidate.
some love.
Yeah, he's a closer candidate of the highest order. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know they want, a starting pitcher. They've always made Nathan Eovaldi a high priority. This week, Ross Fenstermaker also indicated that they are interested in the high-end pitchers, which, look, we love Eovaldi, but he may not be there. He may not be quite to that high end. So maybe they're interested in someone, A, younger, B, theoretically, I guess you could say, better than Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah, and Corbin Burns would be better. You've seen reports that Burns has visited with the Yankees and the Blue Jays, who Blue Jays, I'm telling you, they always have money. So he's a guy that's going to have a pretty robust market, and I don't think Snell set the market for him. He's going to get more years. I think Corbin Burns ultimately signs a longer deal with more total value. I don't know about annual value, but total value. And he's in a great spot. And if we're being perfectly honest, if you line up Corbin Burns and Nathan Eovaldi, you definitely want Corbin Burns. He's younger. He is better,
He has a Cy Young.
So yeah, but after Burns and Max Fried though, they're kind of the two big ones still out there. So maybe Eovaldi does rise into that level of upper tier arms because he's probably one of the top 15 free agents overall this offseason. So I would think that he is in that category right now. When we saw Luis Severino just sign with the A's of all teams for $67 million over 3 years. That's an interesting signing on a variety of levels. Jared mentioned yesterday maybe the Rangers strike a trade. Find their next star pitcher via trade, which is possible. You look at the Marlins; they have a ton of pitching talent. Sandy Alcantara is going to be coming back from Tommy John, and he's going to get to the point where the Marlins can't afford him. Jesus Luzardo is another guy who, the first time I ever heard of Jesus Luzardo, he pitched against the Rangers in a spring training game and just carved him up, like struck out 12 in 5 innings. Just dominated. This was a while ago, but he's got the stuff and can be a good pitcher. So
Garrett Crochet,
of course,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So anyway, but also high end arms. I still tend to think includes relievers.
Yeah.
And we all know the closers who are out there: Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Carlos Estevez, who was with the Angels and then traded to the Phillies, Clay Holmes, and a bunch of guys. But it allows you to think a little more aggressively and get your hopes up, I guess, a little bit more when you hear that they're talking with those guys. And
the Mets were interested in Clay Holmes, not as a reliever, as a starter.
Yeah, that's kind of the transitions that's been made. Jordan Hicks last year with the Giants. Now Hicks had started before in the majors, but he transitioned from a reliever, throws 100 and something to starter. So there could be some value there. Maybe you find and the Braves had success with I can't think of it. Reynoso. He was an all-star for him. Anyway, he pitched for the White Sox, ended up having some success there. So that's another way to look at it. But that's getting creative. If you have the money and want the sure thing, by God, go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I wonder too if teams are still having trouble wrapping their brains around paying that much for a relief pitcher, right? If you're going to pay big free agent dollars, again, the Astros did it last year. They're paying $19 million to their closer, but most teams don't love paying north of 15 for sure to a guy who is only going to pitch 1 inning.
Yeah, it's $20 million, I think, is what Edwin Diaz makes, somewhere around 2019.
Yeah, but again, he's a whole show.
It's
like him
it's
and
rare, and
Clase
he's his whole career has been like this.
Yes.
And, he had the injury, so there's it just seems like there's so much risk, and the Rangers, a lot of teams have had success with guys just. Sean Tollison.
Right. Yeah.
He saved 35 games 1 year. Sam Dyson saved 38. So, but to Jared's point yesterday, when have the Rangers had a closer who finished the year as a closer and then came back and went to wire the next year? And it goes all the way back to our buddy Joe Nathan. So it's something that the Rangers just don't do. I thought
Sean Tollison did that, or
he started the next year as the closer,
but he didn't finish the previous.
He started, finished, started, was replaced. So 16, 17. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think CY was talking about the internal upgrades, and I think the biggest internal upgrade that the Rangers could do, like really getting creative, is John Gray at that closer role. You've already paid him.
Yeah.
So if John Gray can really just take one for the team and make that mental switch, and just really come to terms with, okay, this is how I'm going to be used this year, I think that would be the biggest internal upgrade that the Rangers could make.
It's a big ask.
It is a big ask, but if you want to play in the major leagues, it's a little bit of give and take. And, I think you
I'll
extend your career where you
do some
can. And
thoughts on that after our little break comes
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah, that's a big ask. We'll talk about it, and we'll also play a little game, Soto Or. Soto Or. This isn't even our Soto Saga update. This is Soto Or. We're going to play. You can play along with us next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
By now, it's no secret how I feel about the Sleeper app. It's probably my favorite little thing going right now. Fun hobby. It's cheaper than golf, at least the way I do it. So anyway, Sleeper, great fantasy football app. That's how they started out, but now they're getting into the daily picks, and it just adds so much enjoyment for me to watching an ordinary game. It makes me interested. I've learned a lot about the NBA in doing the Sleeper app. So use the code DLS Rangers. You get a $100 first match deposit. You can take it from me that it actually works, and you can take it from my wife because she did it too. She lets my son do it, who's 12, and he's not as good. But Jenny did hit one the other day. So
Nice.
Anyway, with bowl season coming up and college basketball starting and the NBA, it's just a great thing to do it. So download the app and use the code DLLS Rangers for a $100 first deposit match.
You say cheaper than golf, less frustrating than golf? Ponder
Yeah.
that. Okay, yeah, it is. Wow. That means you're having a lot of success. Yeah, okay. Hey, also, we want to remind you about Game Time. I was extolling the greatness of it yesterday again and reminding folks or informing many of you that if you get the Game Time app and order something, you'll be surprised that you are now informed about so many more shows that are coming to town, things you wouldn't even have thought about that are now sent to you from our friend Nicole. And I think Nicole and I are buddies now. Nicole from Game Time and I are pals, and she sends me stuff all the time. So you should avail yourself to Game Time. You see how you can pick the seat that you want. You'll know if it's a good seat. There's also a seat guarantee, a price guarantee on this. They're fantastic, and I found them to be much less expensive than trying to buy the tickets I bought at the box office. So go to Game Time and use the code DLLS to get $20 off your first purchase. So let's get back to that first. Let's get back to the John Gray thought first, which I think is a really good one, Abs, because, again, it appears that the Rangers are willing to pay maybe as much as $14 million for a closer. If we're talking about this Tanner Scott possibility, I mean, I think the numbers indicate that he is a guy who's going to command around that. So if you're willing to pay $14 million, which has sort of been the reluctance about moving John Gray there, okay, there's $14 million. Jeff, maybe that's not so far-fetched.
if you're willing to spend it for one guy.
Why not for John Gray?
Yeah, the only value is if he's the closer. He can't be the eighth inning guy for
Right.
$14 million. He's got to be the closer. He's talked about, of course, he had the success in the postseason in 2023. The stuff plays up. He's a fastball slider guy. Wouldn't have to worry about the changeup. So he can really, a couple miles per hour to his fastball. So, and the slider's really, really good. It's good as a starter. So, but anyway, maybe it helps him stay healthier. Not having to go out and throw 5 to 7 innings a night. He said he has a rubber arm, doesn't take him time to get loose. He can throw the next day. So going back to back, I don't think would be an issue for him. He could work it out in spring training if it was. And there are. It's interesting because this is the last year of his deal. All right, so what does he want to do going forward? Well, if he wants to start and would want to go into free agency, teams aren't going to be like, oh, well, you've never started. They're like, oh, shit, you just started a year ago, for your whole career. We could easily move you back to the rotation. So there would be deals for him to be a starting pitcher, which, are probably more lucrative, let's be honest, than as a closer. But then you look at like John Smoltz, okay? John Smoltz, who's in the Hall of Fame. People forget he was a closer for a couple seasons, and he was damn good.
Yeah.
He had a 50 save season in there.
Yeah.
And then transitioned back to being a starter. So it's doable. And John, I've asked him, he doesn't really want to do it, but I think if you present it to him now on December 8th, whatever it is, 4th, 5th, give him some time to wrap his mind around it. maybe talk to John Smoltz, maybe talk to guys who've done it before. And
Sure.
be like, yeah, it's easy and you can transition back, no problem. And John Gray, as injured as he's been, has never had an arm injury.
Yeah.
So that's something else
true.
to remember. So anyway, I think that he could
It's
potentially
possible.
It's
do
not
that.
like if you make the switch, though, you can never go back.
Right.
And I think that might be a mental thing that he needs to understand, you know?
Yeah, that's certainly true. But then the other big question becomes sort of, can he do it? Right?
Yeah.
Again, we know he's got the stuff to do it.
Yeah.
But it's that short
Does
memory.
he want to
It's
do
that,
it?
Yeah, it's that whole
Can he
thing
do it?
about that, if you blew the game last night, you were the guy, right? You got to completely forget that and come out today like nothing happened. And again, they're trained to do this, but starting pitchers are trained to do it every 5 days, right?
Yeah.
Not every day.
Yeah.
And so, certainly he has the ability and the capability to do it, but it is a huge mental thing too. And he's never, that we know of, he's never been a closer.
Yeah, and he can really be hard on himself.
Yes.
After a start.
Yes.
It's something that he's had to work on. He's gotten better at it for sure. Yeah, but he absolutely could do this. I don't think there's any question.
Right.
There are people in the organization who think he could do it. I've talked to Ian Kinsler about it. Ian Kinsler said, without question, John Gray could be a really good closer. And if, John liked winning the World Series. They all did.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I mean, John was still wearing the sunglasses 2 days later in the morning when we were interviewing him. So John got after it pretty good. So he enjoyed it. All right. So I think that ultimately, if Chris Young and Bruce Bochy, who have some notches on their walls, if they were to, or notches in their belt, pelts on the wall, whatever you want to say, I think they could present it to him like, John, this would be good for your career. It'd be great for the Rangers. Hey, it could continue your stay here.
Right.
Because we're gonna
right.
We're gonna need starting pitchers next year too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And he's an Oklahoma guy.
right.
And he's loved being back in the area, right? He's loved being back here. It's very close. His family is like south of Oklahoma City, so they're really not even that far up north. They're closer to the Metroplex than even when we talk about Nathan Eovaldi, than Evo's family is. So they're real close. That's a definite positive for him. And yeah, I think you're right. CY hates it when we say this, but CY can sell. And he always says, I wasn't selling them on anything. I was just talking to them about my vision, right? Okay, whatever. You sold them on coming. When they were a 100-loss team, Abs, and every time, they'd sign a new guy, we were like, how did you sell this guy?
You got
I didn't
Corey
sell him.
Seager here?
Yeah, how'd you get Marcus Semien to come here? And, I didn't sell him on that. No. I don't like the word sold. I just gave him a glimpse of our vision, right? So, all right, great. See why? Give him a
John
glimpse
Gray
of the
in
vision.
the bullpen
right?
as the closer.
Yeah, you said something, and I had meant to say this a couple of weeks ago when Chris Woodward got the job as the Dodgers first base coach, and I had tweeted something, and some people were on the Twitter machine saying, "Oh, this guy was trash," blah 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 blah.
Nope.
Maybe, but one thing that Chris Woodward did for this franchise was court Corey Seager. Corey Seager will tell you how important Chris Woodward was to his development as an infielder and as a player. And for people to say, Chris Woodward sucked, I mean, he was set up to fail, it's my opinion. But he did bring the Rangers Corey Seager. And if Corey Seager, even though they offered the extra year and all the extra money, maybe he ends up signing anyway, but having Chris Woodward there made it a lot easier. And Corey Seager was not happy when Chris Woodward got let go.
No. Not a bit. And that gets us, it's actually a pretty nice transition to a little game we want to play, Soto Or. And the reality is, let's pretend that nobody has signed in free agency yet this year. And let's also pretend that it's 2021, right? That's the year we signed Corey Seager
December
and Marcus
1st,
Semien.
2021.
Yeah. All right. So 2021. It's 2021. We are about to go into a lockout, right? So, and it's 2021, and the Rangers apparently have just a ton of money. So if all those things were true right now, Abs, Soto or Pete Alonso?
Soto.
Jeff?
Soto, yeah.
I say both because they could sign both because it's 2021.
Have your cake and eat it too,
Right.
Rad.
And again, that was the most surprising thing about 2021. They got Seager first, right? And then Semien, or did they get Semien?
I think it was Semien, then Seager.
Semien, and we thought, okay, well, there it is. They got their shortstop, so
Right.
they're not in the Seager sweepstakes anymore. But that's fine. We'll take Marcus Semien, and boom, the next day or maybe just hours later, because it was all happening so fast with that lockout approaching. We see Corey Seager too. We're just like, oh my gosh,
And
what
John Gray,
happened here?
Rangers
All right,
closer.
yeah. So this is probably that. And again, I agree with you. I mean, it's a no brainer. A guy with a 14.5 WAR compared to a guy with a 5. Yeah, you take Soto over Pete Alonso, but I say you take both if it's 2021. Now, these become a little more difficult. How about if you go, Jeff? How about if you go Soto or nobody's signed yet, Blake Snell?
I would still do Soto. I just think that Snell, while he's won 2 Cy Youngs, he finally threw his complete game, albeit in a no-hitter. He can be really inconsistent, and he can walk a lot of guys. Now, he's great. Don't get me wrong. He's great. But, if we're going to follow the Rangers model, then we're going to sign our core guys right now and then add the pitchers the next offseason. So I'm sticking with Soto. I mean, Soto, if you'll remember, he and Acuna were, came up as 19-year-olds the same year. Leo Taveras is part of that international signing class. And, they're both great players, obviously, but Soto's better. I mean, Soto's never won an MVP. Acuna did with the huge season that he had that was kind of unprecedented until Ohtani came along.
Yep.
Soto's just a machine. Gets on base, hits for average, hits for power. It's just so good, and he's still 26.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's 26.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Abs, you
A
gonna
young
go?
26.
Yeah, that's right. Abs, you going Soto or Blake Snell?
Well, I love the apples to oranges conversation.
Yes, you do. It's your favorite.
But Soto.
Yeah, I might honestly. Again, trying to get inside the brain of
Wait,
Chris Young.
hold on. Are we, when you're talking about this whole rundown, are we going with the needs that the Rangers had in 2021?
No, what they have now. That's a good question. Yeah,
Okay.
what they have now.
I'm still going with Soto.
Yeah, are you? I think I'd go, given what they have now, I'd go with Snell, given that choice right there. Now,
Oh, yeah. No, I would still.
because
Soto's
of what
better
the
than
Rangers
Adolis
need right
Garcia.
now.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah, I'd take Soto.
and if you had a rotation right now that included at the very top, obviously Jacob deGrom, and then Snell, and then who knows, Rocker and all the other guys behind there, be a beautiful, beautiful little rotation. And again, I mean, Soto is only 26, so it's hard to imagine the day when he begins to fade. He probably hasn't even hit his prime yet. So
Right.
you make a good point there. But by then, these pitchers all won't be what they are today, right? You got to win when your window's open, and I do believe that the Rangers' window is open right now. These become a little easier, Abs, but do you go with Soto or Corbin Burns, given what the Rangers need now?
Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff,
Soto.
you're sticking to it.
I'm almost every answer is going to be Soto.
Yeah, I figure. Yeah.
It's just.
I think I might go Burns here again now.
Just given the Rangers' needs
Right.
right now.
Right. And the general manager, the president of baseball operations mindset. And so I know your answer, Jeff. Soto or Max Fried.
Yeah, I'm not a big Max Fried.
Yeah,
guy.
I was just going to say.
Okay. Would you rather have Soto and Evaldi or Burns and Garcia?
Soto and Evaldi.
So if we're
Just all you got to do is sign Evaldi then. Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at it. But I mean, Soto's just so good.
Yeah. Well, and he is.
And
yet,
he did have some down years there after COVID. He some
And
years
there's still
below 250, and his WAR wasn't great.
Not that a 26-year-old can't learn, but there's still some real criticism of his defense.
Sure.
And understandably, I think rightfully.
Yeah.
Like he's a great hitter. Not sure he's a plus defender.
Right.
And again, I get that Adolis. I'm still with you. I'm taking Evaldi
Soto.
and Soto over
Burns and
pretty
Garcia.
much anybody, and Adolis, and I love Adolis because again that defense, but he's had some inconsistent offensive years.
I mean, honestly, and this is kind of I had a talk with somebody with the Rangers about this. Look at their career numbers going into last season. They were coming on, Adolis and Jonah Heim were coming off career years. But if you looked at their short samples, they're not like deep major league veterans, but still, what they did last year is more in line with who they had been as an offensive player. So I don't know that Adolis, what he did in 23 and then in the postseason was fabulous, but he's not even a 250 career hitter.
Right.
And that was true going into last season, I believe, or he was right around 250. So I don't know that, Adolis is fun, brings a lot of energy. When he's on a heater, he's great. But
when he's on a slump,
you can do better than Adolis Garcia.
Yeah. Big picture. You're right. That's a very interesting and valid concern. So anyway, there's our little game, Soto Or, and Jeff's taking Soto no matter what. What would you do? Let us know. You can let us know in the chat or reach out to us via the Twitter machine. We've got more coming up. We're going to talk about Rangers hitter next. We do our now batting segment, and later, lots to get to in our batting cleanup segment. It's all coming on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
It is time now to add a little brightness into your life. People are decorating the Christmas tree, Christmas lights. Basically the same thing is the Saturday neon.
Yeah.
Your man cave.
Year round, too.
Your man cave needs the Saturday neon. I am a fan of, what are they called? The lights. The neon?
LED.
Just LED neon lights. I think it adds a nice little, pop of personality. Sets the mood in the room. Saturday Neon, new company that they have every option for your college game day. They have Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. You can check out all of the options there, but you can support your favorite team. Use the code DLLS for 10% off. It is the perfect gift for the upcoming holiday season because everyone loves a cold one with a neon sign behind them.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, when I see neon, I think I need a drink.
Yeah, that's right.
Basically.
Not a drink, I need a beer.
Did that say Budweiser? I don't even remember.
Right.
If you want it to.
Yeah.
So speaking of decor, Foco.com, our friends there, a lot of their stuff you can find on our shelves, not only in the podcast lounge, but in the podcast room where we have the desks and the great stuff behind us. Use the code DLLS for 10% off non-sale items, I believe is what it is. But anyway, Foco, you can get all kinds of stuff for your favorite sports team. And if you're going to get a fancy neon sign, might as well get a pair of Lions overalls. Like John, swear to God, if you don't get those for Christmas, I'm really going to be mad. But Foco, thanks for helping out our show. We need all the help we can get. Foco.com, DLLS for 10% off.
Yeah, when you say Foco, I think I need a beer. When Abby says good morning, I think I need a beer. You think I have a problem here? No, I'm kidding. I don't really need a beer that often. But neon, you're right. Neon does scream
need and want. Need and want. There's a difference.
Different.
There are times when you need a beer.
It's the start of every great country song.
It truly is.
Me and my family joke about 3 things need to be in a country song to make it great. Some neon sign, a Silverado, specifically, girls. I was going to say broken heart.
Yeah,
more so
a breakup of some sort. Breakup and beer.
David Allan Coe song. You say anything about being drunk, prison.
Yeah.
Trains,
I was drunk the day my dad got out of prison.
Yeah, I was drunk the day my mom got out of prison.
My mom,
I went to pick her up in the rain. The rain's the other one.
Yeah.
So
that's right. That's a funny song. You don't have to call me darling.
That's right.
Darling.
All right. Now batting. Third baseman, shortstop, second baseman, left fielder.
There you go.
Right fielder.
Keep going.
Josh Smith. Any others? Does he catch? I don't think he's
first
caught.
base. How about first base? Is he done any first base?
First base, maybe. Yeah. Where do you put him?
Everywhere.
He was so versatile this year and forced the hand, really, of Bruce Bochy to utilize said versatility, that is, because he was hitting the ball so well.
Right.
This is a really small niche thing, but it made me happy for him. In Baseball Reference, previous to this year, you would have to type Josh H. Smith.
Right.
Like he
I
wasn't.
think there's a
the
Josh
overall,
W. Smith.
There's plenty
Yeah,
of.
but he's out of baseball, I believe.
Is he out of baseball? Okay.
So I think
Okay.
the H, we'd no longer need the H.
And now he's just Josh Smith. And that made me happy for him.
Nice.
You deserve just
Yep.
two names.
Yep.
No initial.
Soon he'll just be Josh if he keeps going like this. Oh, Josh.
Hemi.
Yeah. Right.
Hemi.
Or how about Smith? Right? Could it be more?
Boch.
Yeah.
Schmitty.
Smitty. Been a lot of Smitties over the years, too. But it was really fun, to your point, Abs, to see Josh Smith, do what he did this year, because he's a guy that came over. Remember, he came over from that Yankees organization. He and Ezekiel Duran both actually came over in the Joey Gallo trade. And I think we'd have to agree and conclude, wow,
Those really
JD
paid
was
out
still
well.
here during that trade, wasn't he? I think JD was still here. Whoever was
21.
sort of the author and the engineer of that trade worked out really well for
Yeah.
the Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers got Glenn Otto also, who
That's
pitched
right.
for him a little bit.
Yep.
They still have Trevor Hauver in the minor leagues, who was in AAA this year, and I think he's Rule 5 eligible. But anyway, there's still one more guy they got to get to the major leagues. But yeah, very very good trade. At the time, Gallo was coming off an All-Star year. He kind of wanted to stay here. He wanted an extension. And the Rangers, he said, I would take a hometown discount or whatever. Well, the Rangers offered him a hometown discount deal, and he didn't take it. And he ended up getting traded. And at the time, the prospects where they were ranked, none of them were in the Yankees top 5. And really, depending on the publication, I don't think they were in the Yankees top 10. But once acquired, they were better than what the Rangers had, so they jumped into the Rangers top 10, at least the case of Smith and Duran. And they've each done something the last 2 years that have helped the Rangers. Ezekiel Duran filling in so well for Corey Seager in 23 in the first half. And then Josh Smith, not just filling in, but then becoming an everyday player once Josh Young was back. Josh Smith was as good as anybody out, not named Corey Seager, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so good for him. It was his first time going through it. He dealt with some soreness in June. Just having played so much, he kind of wore down a little bit late, you could tell. But I think when the Rangers, there are people who talk about what are the Rangers going to do at DH? Well, they can do a lot of things because they have Josh Smith. Now, Josh Smith's not your prototypical DH. He's not, a Greg Luzinski, Rob Deere,
right?
Beer league looking guy.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's going to hit a bunch of doubles. He's going to hit more home runs than you think, and he's going to give you a good at bat. He really does get on base a lot. So, they got to figure out a way to get him in the lineup. They really do. I mean, just based on last year, you think he'll be better this year. I'd try to find him a serious amount of at bats.
Agreed. And he can hit lefties pretty well. He's a switch hitter, so he hit the lefty better. 286 this year, and then righties 249. But he was on fire before the All-Star break. 10 home runs, 40 RBI, and 90 games. A little bit more of a slump second half of the season. 3 home runs, 22 RBI, and 59 games post All-Star break. But the thing that I really do like about Josh Smith is that when he does fill in defensively, it's not just like, okay, we've got that position covered, check. He makes really good plays, No
doubt.
He won the MLB Electric Play of the Week when he made that over-the-shoulder slide and grab.
That was a great.
That was a really, really good one. So it's like, you are putting him as a fill-in and ready to go whenever, but it's not like, all right, he'll just kind of he'll be fine. No, he's really, really good defensively and can contribute a lot. So he's one of those guys, me and my dad just kind of talked about it. And as much as you'd love to have a guy like Josh Smith on your team, he's very valuable with a trade, because a team like the Detroit Tigers, who, don't have necessarily their everyday players, or they're moving around a lot of the puzzle pieces. I mean, Josh Smith would be like made for that organization.
Sure.
We don't want to give him up, because when one of our guys get hurt, it's great that you can pop him in wherever. But Josh Smith has become really, really valuable over this last season. Great at the plate. And it came from a season of struggling before. And the coaching staff met with him and said, hey, you need to make adjustments or your career might be over. And, he took a hard look in the mirror. You could kind of see the World Series media day. He was just, it's almost like he kind of felt uncomfortable being there, because he's like, I'm not an everyday player. I'm hitting like $150 right now. Like, this doesn't make sense for me. And he's just totally turned it around. And to just see him do this, it's incredible. One Silver Slugger for the utility position, which well-deserved. But, the only thing now is this who he is, or was that a breakout year?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And the other great question is, as Jeff said and concluded his remarks with, they've got to get him into the lineup. Where? Right? Not playing third. Josh Young's playing third. Obviously not playing short. Corey Seager's back to play short. Not playing for the Iron Man. Are any of those three guys going to have enough days off, not early, to get him in that lineup on a regular basis? It's difficult to figure. Again, you can, like you said, Jeff, you can use the DH, and I don't think Boch is afraid to do that, but maybe that does beg the opportunities of fulfilling another need with the help of another team, because he would be valuable, more valuable than he is to the Rangers a lot of other places. As you say, we'd hate to see the guy gone, but maybe that would be the best decision the Rangers could make right now. He'd be pretty attractive.
Well, you're right, and not to wish bad things on him, but Will Venable is now the manager of the White Sox.
Sure,
the White Sox have Garrett Crochet, and if the White Sox are intent on trading him and the Rangers were to put together a package, I'm willing to bet the White Sox would want somebody who's a major league ready player right now, and Josh Smith might look pretty good to the Chicago White Sox. Among other things.
Yeah, there's other teams
straight
too.
up.
Yeah.
But I just think that's and the Rangers have four infielders, utility guys on the 40-man roster now with the addition of Max Acosta. Would Ezekiel Duran benefit from regular playing time? We saw how good he was when he had the regular at-bats, and then he wasn't all that good when he didn't. So, and the same with Josh Smith. I mean, Josh Smith was a second-round pick. It's not like they just found him on a scrap heap somewhere. I mean, he could play, and he could hit. And I contend that if you give a major league player regular at-bats, he's going to hit. And that's how talented these guys are. And so I just think that if Josh Smith plays 5 days a week, that's 20 to 30 at-bats a week, depending on scores and all that, where he is in the lineup, he's going to be fine.
And to be honest, he kind of could be like the needle in the haystack if he stays at this utility position. Because how difficult is it to get a really solid, off the bench guy that's going to be ready at the drop of a hat? Like, you could have a really great season in Major League Baseball at this role,
No doubt. But
and you can make some money, because Tommy Edman just got paid a lot of money by the Dodgers.
He did. But the question is, you'd have to think, and you never know. You never know. Somebody can get hurt in spring training, and all of a sudden one of those positions is open. But you figure if you're going into the season, everybody healthy, you're not coming close to getting him, especially at the beginning of the year, 5 days a week in the lineup.
Well, I mean, you do have to fill the DH spot, and
that's true. There isn't a natural DH.
Right.
Josh Smith for DH.
Yeah.
That's mine.
It's a very unlikely.
It's
a very unlikely choice, but it's certainly. It's absolutely worth considering, because again, just give me production, not just productive, but production at the plate,
right?
And you've earned your spot.
If you hit, you're in the lineup.
Yeah,
that's it. It's that simple.
Yeah. So anyway, we love the guy. We're certainly not trying to get rid of him, but we're We're just trying to figure out exactly how the Rangers can, and it's a good problem to have, that you have a player that good and you're having a difficult time figuring out how to, put him in the lineup, how to find him enough at-bats to make everything, make him happy, make the team happy, and get the most production out of him. So that's our discussion about Josh Smith, who's no longer designated Josh H. Smith. We get to just call him Josh Smith, and we know you will too. More coming as we get to our batting cleanup segment. We've got a lot to talk about in this one. It's a packed day, and Jeff's got another show to do right after this one, so we're going to hurry through it. That's all coming up next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, diehards, we're so happy that you were so good about, basically listening to us and signing up as diehards during the course of the last couple of days when we had the 36 for 36 that became 36 for 48 or maybe 59. I don't even know how many hours we did it for, but I think I saw a note. There were like 1,900 people in the company that signed up to be diehards over that couple of day period. And that's fantastic. 112 from this area. So we're everybody, the company's owned by a group in Denver, and everybody in Denver's really giddy about the way our Dallas fans responded in signing up to be diehards. And you should sign up too if you haven't yet. It's still worth it. You missed out on the deal, but it's still worth it. Go become a diehard today. I think there might be another deal coming too, so stand by, but become a diehard. And you're just going to love all the things you get with that, including a free shirt every year.
Yeah, and the shirts, I'm wearing one yet again today. I think we're going to have to do a
2 weeks in a row,
a contest.
Yeah.
For how many days in a row I can wear DLLS merch.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I have 2 of these shirts because my wife and I ordered them. My wife, God bless her, keeps buying me shirts, and we keep duplicating,
buying the same. Yeah, the same taste. That's good.
We need to communicate, by God. But anyway, we'll do that. These shirts are great. I love them. They're so soft and comfortable. You can wash them and dry them, and everything's fine. And so yeah, store.allcitynetwork.com. I got a hoodie coming. They said hats are coming in 2025, and Lord knows I'm going to buy some more of those. So maybe when the hats come in, that's what we'll do. A different one every day.
I think I've only got about 8, but I think you're up to 10.
Oh, I talked to Stein. They made that hat for him.
Yeah, that's. That tells you where I rank. But of course, I'm no Mark Stein. I would never claim to be.
Yeah. So, all right, time for us to back clean up and clean everything up in the world of Major League Baseball. We talked about Soto in our Soto Or segment. The latest I hear and see, Abs, is the fact that Soto, they're saying, his camp and
Saga.
His agent and everybody are saying that by Monday, which is the first day of the winter meetings, but by Monday, and that is a splashy day to announce a big deal like that with the world of baseball all gathered together. So we may have a press conference on Monday right over here at the Anatole announcing Juan Soto.
Jeff Passan is just getting his thumbs ready for
the
tweet.
And so who will he say, who will be the team that hosts that press conference? That's the question.
I'm not sure. A few things for an update. Now they're tossing around, not like every team is looking at this, but apparently $750 million is a new number for a very long period of time, obviously. But that is kind of where the deal could be heading in some ways. But I did see that the Yankees will get the final, final deal. So it sounds like
bottom of the ninth, they get to bat.
Yeah,
unless they're already ahead.
Well, yeah,
correct. But
I don't think they are. Yeah.
So I don't know, but $750 million.
Yeah, and of course, if the Dodgers do it, it'll be $750 million over 75 years, right? just $10 million a year.
But these deals are growing exponentially.
Right.
How much this is going to sound crazy, But realize I just said $750 million, and they're considering it as like a legit option. How long until you see a $1 billion deal? Do you think you ever see it?
You know, it's probably going to happen. I mean, as long as there's not a salary cap in baseball and the union remains strong and baseball, not every team, but baseball continues to set revenue records.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's just going to be some money out there at some point.
Yeah. I pulled up this list of the firsts in baseball, milestones for salary. In 1922, $50,000.
When? 19 what?
22. Babe Ruth.
100 years ago?
Yeah, Babe Ruth. In 1947, $100,000 for Hank Greenberg, former Tiger who had signed, I guess, in some sort of way
So
with
that doubled in 20 years.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, and then and then let's just go from 100,000 to another even number, $1 million. Our buddy Nolan Ryan signed a 4-year, $4.5 million contract with the Houston Astros in the month of November of 1979.
Okay.
So that was the first $1 million.
First
Yep,
million.
first
Okay.
million. First two was George Foster. He was over $2 million in 82. $3 million, 89. It was Kirby Puckett.
Huh.
$4 million, 1990. The very next year, it was Jose Canseco. Roger Clemens goes over $5 million in 1991. Junior goes over $8 million. Oh, Ryan Sandberg first went to 7 in 92. Then Junior goes $8 million, 8.5 in 96. Also in 96, Albert Bell goes over $10 million a year. And then, of
What
course,
year was that?
That was 96. 97, that's the year you were born, right?
Yes.
Pedro Martinez made $12.5 million that year, becoming the first to make 12. 13 was Piazza. Nobody 14. 15, Kevin Brown, the former Ranger, got $15 million in 1998. Carlos Delgado, 17. And then came A-Rod, the first 20 and $30 million contracts were A-Rod. Who did we say was the first 40?
Trevor Bauer.
Trevor
What year was
Bauer.
20
Trevor
though?
Bauer. Yeah.
What year was 20 million?
Mm-hmm.
20 million for the first year was 2000 when Alex
A-Rod
Rodriguez
All right, so
signed.
79 was the first million,
Yep.
Ryan.
Oh, actually, you know what? Manny Ramirez got 20 million in 2000 before A-Rod did.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Manny
So
Ramirez
then A-Rod
the
was
first,
25.
but it was also 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And now, 3/4 of a
40,
billion.
50,
Yeah.
70. Christ.
yeah, unbelievable.
It's getting big.
Unbelievable. And you're right. I mean,
But
$1 billion
The hilarious thing.
and are we not also to $500 million on quarterbacks? Does any of the quarterbacks make $500 million yet? What was
Mahomes was real close.
yeah.
Mahomes was
but
4 and
I don't know
change.
if that's all guaranteed either.
Yeah, good point. No, good point.
But
These are all
you have
guaranteed.
NBA players who are making,
He's
$50 million a
450
year,
for 10 years.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
He's what? 450?
450 for 10.
For 10, okay. All right. So close to $500 million. But then again, now we're talking about a guy who maybe is going to get $750 million.
The craziest thing is that everyone can justify it. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Unbelievable.
depending on what you value WAR at, how much a victory means to your team and how many victories he's going to be responsible for your team. That's just the regular season. 50s for sure. You know,
Yeah.
that's easy. That's easy to do. Beyond that, it's getting up there, but still,
You did 750 over 15 years.
that's what?
750 over like 15.
That would be 50 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's amazing to think. I mean, since Alex Rodriguez was here, actually, at the winter meetings here, when he signed the 10-year, $252 million deal that Jeff mentioned with the great T.R. Sullivan breaking that story at the winter meetings when it was a winter wonderland, by the way. But anyway, so I've just, going through that. He was the first to get that in 2001 to get $25 million. And then he was the first to get $30 million in 2009. And so then you think about that. Between 01 and 9, he made $25 million a year and then started making $30 million a year. Sometimes we throw the number around. Oh, it's a $650 million contract. And you just don't think about what that is. $30 million a year. Yeah. I'd only have to do that once.
And now he does Shark
One
Tank.
time. $30 million a year. Good. You would never see me again, baby.
Well, you know how I was saying, like, I wanted to be Paul Skeens for a day?
Yeah.
I want to be Soto.
Boy, no kidding. 1 year.
Yeah. And all right. And I'm very cynical when it comes to these things. So, of course, the cheating was worth it. Of course, taking the steroids was completely and totally worth it for Alex Rodriguez.
Right.
He doesn't care about the Hall of Fame.
No. He cares about that money.
Money or the Hall of Fame? What would you rather have? Well, I think in his case, he'd rather have
integrity, Jeff.
Yeah,
whatever.
Pretty much stated.
No, I think once you get it, it's hard to give it up.
Right. Yes.
And so, the movie Johnny Dangerously. It's an old movie with Michael Keaton. It's like his first movie. It's hilarious, and anyway, he's a crime boss, but he's telling the story as a pet shop owner, and then at the end, he tells this kid who is going to try to steal a kitten or whatever, crime doesn't pay. And so then he changes out of his clothes and goes out to the limousine and everything. And goes, well, it pays a little. So Alex Rodriguez, crime doesn't pay, but it pays a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And truly, in fairness, I'm not sure A-Rod made that choice, right? Like, I don't think he was given that choice. Like, if you do this now, you won't get to go in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
That came later. But I agree with you.
He was down the road, man.
If he'd been given that choice, he'd go, what the heck? $20 million a year. 25.
I'd
30.
do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Give me a hairy back and small testicles. Let's do it.
On that note, 112 days until opening day.
Oh, that's awesome. Also, happy birthday to our buddy Tony Beasley.
Oh, yeah.
58 years old, 58 years young.
Who
today.
sings him happy birthday? Because he sings everyone else
That's
happy
a good
birthday.
point.
Who sings it to him?
Yeah.
He's probably got other singers in the family, right?
I
think all the brothers, we never got to this with him. That's why we got to have him back in. All the brothers run this like tree cutting business, right? Is that what it is, Jeff?
Yeah, his brother owns a logging business in Virginia.
So I bet you they're the singing loggers. And Bees helps out there in the off season. He'll go help him. He'll grab a chainsaw and get after it.
Right. Swing an axe. He absolutely does.
Yeah.
And happy anniversary to Corey and Maddie Seeger. 4 years.
4 years
together.
Yeah, together a long time though, it seems.
Now is she also from North Carolina? Did they go way back there, or do you know?
I
think she's from Tennessee.
Sure.
Tennessee, okay.
But
he still calls North Carolina the home in the off season.
They live in Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, they live in Tennessee. Okay.
But they've done a lot for the community. They've been just really active, and always kind of the first to lend a helping hand. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you were at Do It for Dirt, you could have been on a meet and greet with Corey Seager, which I think got us around $8,000 to $10,000.
Did it really?
So, Corey stepping out. That's a big deal. So
I was going to say, prepare your talking points and your questions ahead of time.
Yeah, and was that at the ballpark, this meet and greet?
Yeah, I think it's
it'll be
before
during batting practice.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he doesn't hit on the field, so it's going to be. It's really a departure.
He'll come out and he'll go, what's that bright light? Oh, wait, there's a roof.
No, really, I do forget Seager's on the team until literally
game time.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you hanging out with us as always. We'll be back again tomorrow. It'll be our last show before the winter meetings. Next week, we're on a strange times. We're on 10 o'clock in the morning on actually 9:30, I think, on Tuesday, right?
That's right.
Yeah, Monday we're at 10, 9:30 on Tuesday because we're going to have an audience with Boach over at the winter meetings a little later on that afternoon. We'll probably show that later on in the day or in the week, and we're also then going to be on at the end of the winter meetings after the Rule 5 draft. That will be on Wednesday around 4 o'clock. So kind of a crazy week time-wise, but I think you'll want to be here with us each and every day so you can find out what is happening because we will have the very latest on what's happening at the winter meetings. They start Sunday. We start broadcasting the content from there on Monday. So thanks for joining us today, and we will see you again tomorrow first for another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.